Okay, yeah, exactly.
Did he throw a strike?
Oh, he threw a strike, and I believe it was, what, 85 to 90 miles an hour. What is wrong with this pitcher?
He's wearing a Nationals jacket and a White Sox hat.
But if you're a diehard White Sox fan and you have to pitch for the Nationals and you have to wear their shirt, would it be okay to wear the hat?
I guess.
I'll pick for you. It's fine.
Okay.
Quit staring at my sweater cape.
What is this?
It's fashion.
I like it.
I love it.
I'm just wondering what
It's one of a kind.
Okay.
It's not a poncho because it has a hoodie on the back. It's a sweater cape. Let's get back to baseball. Earlier I told you that story about Geraldo Gutfield. That was actually fake news. I apologize. That was not true. All those sources came from CNN. I apologize. But everything else on this board was 100% true.
All right. From now on, you have to call that a pootie, which is half a poncho, half a hoodie, a putty.
It's a sweater cape. I'm like a superhero.
You are. It's a strange thing. By the way, that killed 50 Cent's career.
Yeah, you lost all the street cred.
Yeah, once you did. So why
you can't bust caps? You can't throw a strike, bro.
What's wrong with you saying I'm not going to do it?
He had to do it. Just like he needs to do it. It's part of America. It's a great honor.
I disagree.
Why do you disagree?
I think this is great for President Trump's brand of him being too busy. I'm
yes.
really surprised. I haven't seen it. Thank you. I'm very surprised. I have not seen a tweet from him yet saying Obama, blah, 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 was, playing all this golf. I can't fill out the first pitch because I'm too busy making America great again.
Yes.
He's played golf 13 times.
Hey. He has played a lot of golf.
He's played a lot of golf.
He
spends 3 days a week in Florida.
You have to understand, we only cover Obama playing golf here.
Oh,
get it right.
Sorry.
Okay. Jamie, thoughts? Do you think Trump should chuck the ball, as they say in baseball?
They don't say that at all.
I know they don't.
It's a complete lie.
First of all, I love the sweater that you were wearing.
And you have one now, sir.
I feel like it answers a lot of problems I have with sweaters. You ever been like, oh man, my nipples get so cold, but my forearms are so hot?
I'm not a sleeve guy.
That's the answer. And I believe Trump said he would have thrown out the first pitch if it was a much smaller ball and he could have hit it with a golf club.
That's funny.
I did read that.
PJ?
Also, it's a finger thing, isn't it?
Yeah, really?
The whole world will be looking at his fingers.
Yes. But you know what? He's an athlete. Did he? He played baseball, didn't he?
He's thrown before.
Yeah. He's busy. He's busy.
Busy. No,
yeah.
We'll go with busy.
Yeah, we'll go with busy for now.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a clean sweep tonight for Kim Jong-un. North Korea's dangerous young leader has gotten the body of his murdered half-brother Kim Jong-nam. The Malaysian government has released the body to the North Koreans and has released 3 North Koreans wanted for questioning in the murder. They'd been hiding in the North Korean embassy in Kuala Lumpur. The 3 men, believed to be filmed here on a plane. One stares down a journalist who approaches him.
Do you take part in the assassination of the Kim Jong-un? No.
At the same time, Malaysia got back 9 of its citizens who had been stuck in North Korea during this diplomatic standoff. The Malaysians insist that the 3 North Koreans were not traded for 9 hostages.
We are finished with them, so that's why we allow them to go.
Analysts dispute that.
Of course there was a deal. It's absolutely tied. I think just the Malaysians just rolled over and just gave everything that the North Koreans wanted.
The most shocking thing about this is the fact that Kim Jong-un is getting away with murder.
Malaysian and South Korean officials say Kim Jong-un ordered the hit on his half-brother, who they say was smeared with a banned chemical weapon, VX nerve agent, in the middle of Kuala Lumpur's airport. Kim's regime vehemently denies involvement, but experts say the North Koreans have pulled off several aggressive moves like this over decades with virtually no payback.
Conducted multiple assassination attempts against South Korean leaders, assassinated First Lady of South Korea, blew up Korean civilian airliner, killing 115 people on board. In 2010, North Korea sunk a South Korean vessel, Cheonan, killing all 46 South Korean sailors. And always, every single time, North Korea has gotten away with these things.
Tonight, Kim seems to feel emboldened. A U.S. defense official telling CNN, in recent days, the U.S. has observed a lot of activity at a North Korean research facility tied to its development of long-range missiles that could someday strike America. Analysts say expect Kim to ramp up his aggression.
We will likely see a continuation of missile tests. We will likely see also, very soon possibly, according to recent satellite imagery, another nuclear test.
The only people who are being held accountable for the murder of Kim Jong-nam, these two women, one Vietnamese, one Indonesian, who Malaysian officials say smeared the VX nerve agent in his face at the airport. They're charged with murder. They both deny it, claiming they thought they were taking part in a TV stunt. But tonight, they both face death by hanging for this crime.
Blasting Vladimir Putin in his own backyard, President Trump's top diplomat and Pentagon chief blamed Russian aggression for turning the idea of a reset with Moscow into a pipe dream.
From what happened with Crimea to other aspects of their behavior in mucking around inside other people's elections.
Visiting NATO for the first time, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson tried to reassure nervous European allies that President Trump won't seek closer ties with Russia.
We want to obviously have a discussion around NATO's posture here in Europe, most particularly Eastern Europe, in response to Russia's aggression in Ukraine and elsewhere.
On Thursday, former FBI agent Clint Watts told lawmakers investigating Russia that Putin may be trying to hide his tracks.
Follow the trail of dead Russians. There's been more dead Russians in the past 3 months that are tied to this investigation, who have assets and banks all over the world.
Last week, exiled Russian lawmaker Denis Vorenkov was gunned down in broad daylight outside a hotel in Kiev. The former security minister has shared closely guarded state secrets about Russian actions in Ukraine with investigators. Ukraine's president calls his murder, quote, an act of Russian state terrorism. And he's just one of several mysterious Russian deaths since Russia became a target of investigation for meddling in the U.S. election. In December, Russia's ambassador to Turkey was shot dead at point-blank range at an art exhibition. The shooter, a Turkish police officer, shouted, "Do not forget Syria," as he pulled the trigger. The same day, Peter Polishchikov, a senior Russian diplomat, found shot in the head in the bedroom of his Moscow home. And November 8th, U.S. Election Day. New York police were called to the Russian consulate to find diplomat Sergei Krivov unconscious. He was pronounced dead on the scene. Russian officials changed their story of how he died 3 times, from falling from the roof to a heart attack, before an autopsy said he died of a tumor. In all, 8 prominent Russians found dead since the U.S. election, 5 of them diplomats, including Ambassador to the UN Vitaly Churkin, who died suddenly of a heart attack last month.
So, Jesse, I mean, it's fascinating to read over these documents and the reporting that the New York Times has now posted tonight. There's so much, for all the talk of how, Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump have gone above and beyond the law in terms of getting rid of any ethical conflicts. There's a lot that's just not known about who Jared Kushner's family company, who's investing in it, what businesses from overseas are investing in it. You talked about a huge investment from a company in Israel, and obviously he's tasked with bringing Middle East peace.
Right. I mean, Kushner Companies has 4 separate loans from Bank Hapoalim, which is the biggest bank in Israel, and that presents a couple of issues, right? One, Jared Kushner is, as you point out, tasked with doing peace in the Middle East. And then the other issue is that Bank Hapoalim is the subject of a very serious investigation by the Department of Justice here in the U.S. into whether the bank helped Americans evade taxes with undeclared bank accounts offshore. And so the notion that he continues to be the beneficiary of this business that he ran for many years, that is in business with the biggest bank in a country with whom he's going to be doing extensive work from a diplomatic perspective, is quite surprising.
The finances of the president's closest aides, including his daughter, have just been revealed in the White House disclosure documents. We're now learning that Ivanka Trump and her husband, Jared Kushner, combined, their worth could exceed $700 million. Now, the couple collected about $195 million in income. This is according to a new financial snapshot of about 180 of the men and women serving in the Donald Trump White House. Before administration counsel advised them to resign from various postings, divest certain holdings, or recuse themselves from future decisions. CNN politics producer Dan Merica is with us this morning. Dan, good morning to you.
Morning.
So let's start with Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner. I mean, they are not the only wealthy aides, but we are learning a lot about their holdings as well as the other aides there in the White House, and there are a lot of millionaires around the president.
Yeah, the form somewhat, confirmed what we already thought and knew about this White House, is there are a lot of wealthy people around Donald Trump. You remember he campaigned against people who, and Goldman Sachs and investment banks, but it's worth noting a lot of those people have come to the White House, come to his administration. You have people like Gary Cohn, his top economic advisor, made $75 million last year. Dina Powell, who was a top National Security Council advisor, made over $4 million last year, $3 million of which was in a cash bonus. But by far the most interesting is what Jared Kushner and by marriage Ivanka Trump, what they're worth and what they made. The $700 million is a huge figure, but if you dig down into those numbers, you see where that money came from and what must have been a very complicated process to divest himself from all of these holdings. Now, the biggest concern with the Trump administration has been the ability for aides and the president himself to benefit their businesses and then their bottom line through the presidency. You've seen Donald Trump for the last 8 weekends go to properties with his name on it, go to golf courses, go to his hotels, and now obviously he's the president, he can go where he wants, but by going to those properties, he's giving them publicity that many places would die for, and that in turn benefits his bottom line. The questions about Kushner and now Ivanka Trump, who has become an informal advisor or an official advisor, a government employee, is will she be able to do that as well, and how are her holdings tied to her husband's?
I'm joined now by Newt Gingrich, former Speaker of the House and a Fox News contributor. Speaker, thanks for joining us this morning.
Glad to be with you.
So let's get to that first. The president has taken to Twitter on this, and he has called all of this a total scam as this controversy continues. Is that something you agree with?
Oh, I think in terms of the whole question of the Trump administration, it's an absurd story, but I think it raises two other questions. One is, was the Obama White House deliberately leaking, which would be a felony? Who was doing it? I mean, these are crimes. And I think that's a key part of this. And the other is, I think we should know what the Russians have been up to, but frankly, that involves the Podesta brothers, one of whom is a registered agent for a Russian bank. It involves all the different things that Peter Schweitzer wrote about in his book on Clinton Cash. And it's ironic that all of the real evidence of real money and real influence buying by the Russians relates to Democrats. There's no evidence that anybody was particularly being purchased on the Republican side, yet the committees, for reasons beyond my understanding, are narrowly defining what this investigation is about. It should be about the degree to which the U.S. is penetrated by efforts to corrupt our society and to purchase influence.
Yeah, and you've heard that time and time again during those White House press briefings this week from Sean Spicer. He keeps saying that the media is obsessed with the process and not the substance here. That continues to be the White House narrative. But I want to show you exactly what he wrote in this tweet, the president. He said, "It is the same fake news media that said there is, quote, no path to victory for Trump. That is now pushing the phony Russia story, a total scam." Why do you think that the media is in such a frenzy over this?
Oh, no, they're not. I don't think they're actually in a frenzy over this. I think they're in a frenzy. And this is the latest manifestation of that frenzy. It's a little bit like the Time correspondent who couldn't find Martin Luther King's statue because apparently a Secret Service agent was standing in front of it, and so promptly, without checking with anybody, sent out a note that Trump had taken Martin Luther King's statue or bust out of the Oval Office, which was repeated by 3,000 different sources, according to Kellyanne Conway. I think what you have is a left-wing media, starting with the Times, New York Times, and Washington Post, and the big networks. They are so far to the left. They are in a frenzy over Trump having won. This is just the latest manifestation. But you're going to see them stay this way, I think, all the way through. They are so frightened that their world is going to be taken apart, which it is. They're watching deregulation. They're watching a conservative Supreme Court justice they're watching a president who's not afraid to take them on. And I think it just increases the panic and the frenzy of the news media.
Speaker, the intelligence community has concluded that Russia did indeed meddle in the 2016 election. The discrepancy here and the conspiracy theories that are out there and the speculation out there from the mainstream media, you'll see, is that Donald Trump was involved in that and his campaign was involved in that and colluded with them somehow on the election. There's absolutely no